Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about the book that got me to read comics, All the Marvels. This is by Douglas Walk, or Woke? I don't know. This is a book about Marvel Comics. Now this is mainly about Marvel's mainline stories. It does cover a little bit of the other stuff. Doesn't really cover any of the other major comic publishers, so just keep that in mind. That's what this book's about, but I'm going to talk about the book that got me to read comics. Now, to start, this is not a novel. It's not something that's going to... Is novel the right word? It's not something that's going to tell you a story. It's going to explain more like a nonfiction history book. It's going to go through the history of Marvel Comics, but it's written in a way so that you could start to read Marvel Comics. So for context, the first 3 chapters are all about what is the Marvel Universe, what are the rules set, when did it start, why did it start, who started it. But after that, there's chapters that are based on certain characters. So you got Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, I think Black Panther is one of them, X-Men, of course, Thor. And then you have these little interlude chapters, just some, neat little facts, some things that happened over the course of Marvel's history. For example, there's a little chapter in here. There's a little chapter in here all about the presidents that appeared in the Marvel Universe. Of course, nowadays there's actually not a lot of relevance, or I guess they don't really include any modern day presidents. They kind of top off with like Barack Obama, and they'll show a picture here of his, his little comic crossover thing. I don't know, he appeared in Amazing Spider-Man. This guy read all the Marvel comics, I did not. But yeah, the format of this book is an entryway, a guide for you to get into reading Marvel Comics, or if you're just curious, it'll talk about the history of them, history of some of these characters, some of the highlights. It does explain that while some of the highlights or most important comics of all time are fairly noteworthy, they're not great starting points if you're just trying to get into comics. And so this guide is just, it was just delightful to read, to be honest. A lot of these characters I don't know that well. I'm aware of Marvel, I've seen the MCU movies, but I've never actually read a Marvel comic, except a couple random ones that I probably tore up when I was a kid. So while doing his research for this book, he read all 27,000 at the time Marvel comics, and then he kind of just recaps what it was like. He does say that's not how he suggests you approach it. He didn't just do a straight line through. He wouldn't suggest a straight line through. Some of the older stuff is harder to get into. He talks about how a lot of the comics are actually written for their era. There's a lot of stuff that's in Vietnam era. There's a lot of stuff in the 60s, and it's just different. It doesn't hit the same as today would, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of great starting points. There's a lot of just great history in this book. I don't really have a way of reviewing it and saying that this book is like, oh, it's a great read, it's a must read, it's a, it's a great story. It's, hey, are you interested in Marvel? Whether that's you want to read comics or you just think that there's a weird history to all those movies you've seen, I'd pick this up. It's a pretty good read. It's pretty fun. Really, it's also really easy. There's a lot of just breaks. A lot of the chapters are kind of broken up by like just what comic issue he's talking about, all the highlights that he's trying to jump to. So it's also really easy to just pick up, read a couple pages, put down. It's just fascinating. Now, if you do have an interest in comics, or Marvel comics in particular, or DC comics or anything, this is also just a great read in terms of understanding comics and some of their history. And he does talk about Lee and Ditko and Kirby, the founders of Marvel, or at least the big names. Yeah, and even it does talk about some of Marvel's history before superheroes, talking about the monster comics and the comics board for approved, what's okay, what's not. It's all in here. And so like I said, I found this book really fascinating. It's a really fun read, informative, and it just kind of inspired me to want to start reading comics. And the second half of that is why I even started a YouTube channel. So I haven't really come up with a scale yet for how I want to rate books on this channel. That's something I guess I got to work on before the next book review. But I would say if you're interested in Marvel, if you're interested in comics or any superheroes, check out this book. It's not a must-read. It's not something that everybody ever needs to read. But if you're just interested in that aspect of pop culture, from the 60s onward, and how much that's permeated into today's culture with all these movies, it's a good read. I really would recommend this book. If you enjoyed the review, if you enjoyed me talking about this book, or you want to hear more, or just want to follow, this is my book reading journal, my video log of just the different books and comics I'm reading. So if you want to see more of that, you should consider liking or subscribing. It really just kind of helps me out. Again, this is just me keeping track of what I'm reading and kind of reviewing it as I go. But, I'd love to talk to anybody, so if you want to join me in the comments, I'd love to chat with you. Otherwise, thank you for watching and making it this far, and maybe I'll see you in the next one.